Sage Wanderer here, coming at you from on the road. Packed in my car is everything I own. Well, not really, but my most prized possessions are right here with me. So, I wanted to share a testimony with you, and I just realized the other day that this is a testimony, and I call it a testimony because, this is about a healing I received, but I don't directly credit supernatural reasoning for the healing, for the transformation that I underwent. And for a guy who gives God the glory all the time, I still call this a testimony, so let me clarify. So I find this extremely ironic since I am a well-known public speaker. You know, most of you have subscribed to my channel because you like the way I speak. I'm a good communicator. I hear this a lot. As an adult, I've been a trained salesman, a pastor, preacher. Tried my hand at acting, a kind of acting. I need to tell that story too. I got so many stories. But this one goes all the way back to first grade. Now, you may be surprised to find out that I spoke with a stutter for the first years of my life. Until the age of 6, I had a chronic stutter, and it was very difficult for me to communicate. I got hung up a lot on the T's and the R's and the S's, and they just, sound like an engine trying to start. I will never go back and fake stutter. I never have, and I never will, to demonstrate to you what I sounded like when I stuttered. And for me to be able to sit here, today and give you this really well-spoken, articulate flow of words, it's a miracle. It's a miracle. And, some of you are going to look at this and go, well, God healed you. I will say this: God gave me the answer to overcoming stuttering. Now, I went to first grade, and when I got to first grade, I could already read. But I couldn't communicate with the teacher very well, and I couldn't communicate with my schoolmates very well because I stuttered a lot, and sometimes I would just get hung up on a word, and oftentimes other boys would punch me like I was a broken jukebox, and if they just hit me, I'd quit getting hung up on R, and or maybe because I was like a broken record, you bump the record player, maybe it'll skip ahead. So I just figured it was something that was wrong with me, and I kind of accepted it as a child, and I never thought about not stuttering, And so I went to school, and because I had this problem, they gave me a speech therapist. And they did a number of tests on me, and then they started on these little programs of repeating words and things and trying to get me past it. And so I remember, I guess about maybe the third or fourth one-on-one session I had with the speech therapist at the age of 6. Now remember, if you know my early childhood, I was the kind of kid who, even though I had a stutter, I could still communicate well enough a lot of times if I sat down and planned out what I was going to say. That's the thing. If I sat down and went, okay, I'm going to say this whole thing, and then say it, a lot of times I could get through it without stuttering. And you also know that I used to play chess at this age. I could already read. I was a child prodigy. I could already play music. I had already been on stage. And I guess to some degree, I only stuttered when I just tried to speak my mind. When I had a pre-published line in the family, I came up in the family band. My dad was a traveling preacher and an ex-Marine. Weird combination. And he'd set me in the crook of his arm, and I would work all week on delivering a punchline for him. So I could speak without stuttering. I just couldn't flow like I'm flowing right now without stuttering. And so I guess it was about the third or fourth time I went to the speech therapist. I just asked her, I think something like, so I guess it's a sickness? How come I stutter and no one else does? Of course she was patient for me to get that out. And but actually, I think most of that statement I had practiced before I got there, because I wanted to make sure I could communicate well enough to tell her that, I really wanted to find out what was wrong with me. Is it a disease? This is what I'm asking her, is, what's wrong with me? How come I stutter and nobody else does? And she started explaining to me, because I think I said, is my mouth broken? Is my tongue got it? Do I have, is there a medicine or a surgery that we can do to fix my stutter? And she said, actually, it's mental. Stuttering it's not your mouth stuttering, it's your mind stuttering. And typically, she said, it happens with people who try to think faster than their brain can interpret. And so it's a matter of slowing down. And this is why we teach you to stop and think about your phrases before you say them. And she says, you can overcome this. This is what speech therapy is for. And over time, you'll get better. And I said, so what you're trying to tell me is that it's all in my head? And she goes, yeah, essentially, it's all in your head. And I said, so if I decided to stop stuttering, could I just stop stuttering if my mind decided to? And she said, well, it's not that easy. It's a process. It takes time. And I said, but, could somebody? And she said, well, I don't see why you couldn't just decide to stop stuttering. And so I just... in that day, in that moment, I decided to stop stuttering. And I stopped. I just stopped stuttering. I told myself, this is stupid. People can't understand you. You have to be able to communicate. And I know you're excited and there's all these thoughts in your head, but you just have to slow down. And I knew, because I had practiced the lines in the family band, and I knew that because when I wanted to say something, I could sit down and form the words. And I used to trap preachers all the time, because I had these little questions that I knew the preachers couldn't answer, and I had them practiced. So I knew I could communicate when I was scripted. But being able to just talk like normal people talk, I couldn't do that. And I decided that since I could do that when I wanted to, by slowing down and practicing and memorizing exactly what it is I was going to say, that I knew I could then not stutter during those periods of time. So why couldn't I just do it all the time? So honestly, I just flipped a switch and I stopped stuttering. And every once in a while, mainly when I try to tell this story, it's why I don't tell this story very often, I'll get a little too fast for my thinking. My thinking will get too fast for my mouth, and I'll start to stutter. But it's like just setting a speed limit for my brain. And so I was able to overcome stuttering just by understanding that it was in fact all in my mind, and all I had to do was just slow down. And some of you will say, well, you got healed. That was miraculous. And I would say that I can't disagree with you. But it doesn't mean God had to reach down and touch me personally. He put in us the power to overcome our own ailments. He gave us the power to overcome our own adversities. He gave us the power to do all things through Christ who strengthens us. He gave us the power to do even greater things than He did. And there's no reason that you should be... God didn't give you a spirit of fear, but a sound mind, right? So much of our problems can be cured as a matter of mind over matter, as a matter of deciding to do something. The power of the human will is underestimated. I really hate the victim mentality, the I can't help myself mentality, the I'm sorry, I just can't. I'm trying to be empathetic, and I'm an empathetic person. And it's not that I think you're a lesser human being because you can't just lose weight. You can't just stop smoking like I do. When I want to lose weight, I just lose weight. When I want to stop smoking, I just stop smoking. I'm not saying you're a lesser person. If I sound frustrated and non-empathetic when I'm dealing with somebody that's struggling with a mind issue, right? Like self-control or self-will or the control of one's own thinking, I'm not angry at them. I don't think they're less of a person. I'm not looking down on them. I'm just frustrated and I'm hurt for them because I know The power of the human will. The greatest gift God ever gave you was the power to choose. And that includes choosing your own thinking, choosing your own destiny, choosing your own path, right? Don't let circumstances dictate to you. You can overcome that. Don't let your situation dictate things to you. The power of your will to decide to do something different. The power of your will to decide to be a better person. The power of your will to decide to overcome your shortcomings. This is the most powerful gift God gave us as humans. And everyone has been given this gift. Just look at the man born with no legs who learns to walk on his hands. Right? Just like the person who lost their arms in an accident learns to make a sandwich with their feet. There is nothing you can't overcome through the power of your own mind. And ultimately, your connection with God and your receiving of any divine intervention that may be due you or available to you can only be accessed through the power of your mind. You have to choose to accept supernatural help. You have to choose to reach out to God. You have to be a person of strong will. That's what's wrong with this world. Everyone professes their weaknesses so much. Oh, I can't help it. I'm a fat person and I can't stop eating. I'm a smoker and I can't stop smoking. I'm a drug addict and I can't stop taking drugs. Everyone has and then they have an excuse why. It was my mom, my dad, my family, my job, my situation. I guess what I'm saying is a long drawn out way of saying pick yourself up by your bootstraps. You have the will to change your situation. I mean, you have the power to change your situation if you have the will. If there is a will, there is a way. This is the power of the free gift of freedom and free will that God gave us. God gave us all free will. If you are sick, you've chosen to embrace it. If you are addicted, you have chosen addiction. If you have problems with the way that you think and the way you perceive the world, you've chosen to embrace that. And you can fix nearly everything with the power of your own mind, and then use that same power of your own mind and the power of your own will and the power that God gave you, the free will power, right, that God gave you, to reach out and contact Him and get the rest of the supernatural help you might need to overcome what you're facing. And ultimately, especially people that are caught in sin, people that say, well, I can't do right, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't. You know, you're just listening to the devil. That's how the devil wins. You know, the devil doesn't really have any power on you unless you agree with him. That by agreeing with the devil, you give him power. So when you agree with him and you whine on about your situation and you don't take the bull by the horns and decide to do something different, then you're just agreeing with the devil. If I can, at the age of 6, decide to stop stuttering, you can stop whatever it is you're doing that people tell you is beyond your control. Honestly, nothing to do with your own mind is beyond your control. Really. Because the free gift of free will, right? The human will is the most powerful thing you possess. It's, your body will fail you. Your eyes will grow dim as you age. Your hair will turn gray. Your body, your best friend, will just downright betray you in old age, right? But you have that free will your whole life. Exercise your willpower over yourself. Exercise the power to decide, and you will see a transformation in your life. The victim mentality that I can't help it, I'm a product of my environment. The devil made me do it. It's because I'm weak. Okay, suck it up, Buttercup. You have the power to stop eating and then just die if you want. That's how strong this free will actually is. People ask me, Sage, why do you seem triumphant? Why do you, one person said, how come you don't fear devils? How do you get to that point where you don't fear devils and you believe they fear you? And it's because I know who I am. I know that power of freedom of choice, that power of free will, that gift from God that He gave us. You know what? It's the most supernatural, godlike ability any of us have. Animals, honestly, they don't have the freedom of the free will. They don't have freedom of choice. Animals are driven by instinct. They can't decide to stop eating. Their body won't let them. Right? Human beings are the only animals on the planet that have this ability to just decide their fate. So I guess I'm saying, be the captain of your ship. Be the master of your own destiny. Don't let circumstances dictate to you who you are and what you have to be. Just because you're born poor doesn't mean you have to stay poor. Just because you have a family trait doesn't mean you have to give into it. Just because all the people in your family are fat doesn't mean you have to be. Just because all of your people in your family are drunks doesn't mean you have to be. Just because all the people in your family are drug addicts or jailbirds doesn't mean you have to be. I mean, you're looking at a guy who comes from a family of jailbirds and alcoholics, right? Yeah, my cousin's got 32 felony convictions. His brother died in prison, and the good boy of that family, he just didn't get caught till old age. But they finally caught him and slapped him with a felony. My three brothers from another mother, my three cousins. So I could have said, hey, my circumstances dictate that I'm going to be an alcoholic because my mom never drank a day in her life. My sister was an alcoholic, drank herself to death. The old Marine drank, even when he was a preacher, he had a bottle that he secretly drank. And I could have been an alcoholic, I could have let that define me. But I have the free will of choice. I have the freedom of choice. I am a creature of free will. So anything I accomplish, this is the hook in all of this, folks. This is why it isn't all about me. Some people in the comments section are probably already dropped. You didn't make it to the end of the video and you've already dropped, well, it's not about you, it's about God. God, baby. The gift is from God. The gift of choice is from God. So ultimately, I am thanking God. I am giving God credit. Because if I didn't have free will, I wouldn't accomplish anything. Every one of my accomplishments in life, from stopping stuttering to mastering the piano to learning to play 12 instruments, all of it is because God gave me the free choice to do that or to use my life as, in the pursuit of evil, right? I could have gone any way I wanted to go. So everything that I've ever done that's worth doing is because God gave me the choice. He gave me freedom and free will. So I guess it's just a little celebration of free will. I stopped stuttering. You can stop whatever it is you're doing. And if you can't, God will help you. But honestly, you can. It's why God doesn't help us as much as we'd like, because He just looks at us and goes, just stop doing that. All right, we'll see you next time.